Good day, everyone. May I request everyone to stand up for the prayer? May I request Aljan Lubero to lead the prayer? Okay, settle down, everyone. Once again, good morning, class.
Good morning, sir.
How are you this morning?
We're fine and good, sir.
Okay, nice to hear. Now, since you are good, let me first check your attendance. Who's absent today?
None, sir.
Wow, very good. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Okay. Now, as your teacher today, I set the classroom rules in order to us to be follow as we go through our discussions. So our first rule, we need to be listened carefully, and also we need to raise our right hand if we want to answer. And most of all, we need to respect each other. Before we proceed to our proper discussion, let's have first a short activity. This activity is called Freeze the Moment. So listen carefully for the instructions. The teacher will divide the class into 4 groups. So the teacher will present a scenario to each group and ask questions. So the answer must be in the scenarios that you act or you need to perform. So the teacher will count to 5 seconds, and when the teacher blow the whistle, you need to freeze. So in a group, we need to freeze in the moment when the teacher will blow the whistles. So all of the members, each of group will be participate in this activity, and the teacher will choose one representative to explain the action or the performance of your groups. Is that clear? Did you class enjoy our activity in this morning? Okay, so based on our activity, what have you observed? Yes, you observed that the perform or the learned. Okay, so in that case, it will be part of our topic for today. So our topic for today is defining and assessing learning. But first, let me present to you our objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to A. Discuss and distinguish performance and learning. B. Value the general performance characteristic by giving example in the real scenarios. And lastly, you need to perform the methods of assessing learning in role play, broadcasting, advertising, and singing. Is that clear, class? Okay. Now let's go back to our topic for this morning. So our topic will be defining and assessing learning. So what is your idea when you hear the word defining or assessing learning? Yes? Yes, you have a point. So defining and assessing learning, it is a process which you can make or improve the learning of the student by knowing or evaluate each learning in order to them to grow in their capabilities or their skills. So in this morning, we will discuss the performance and the learning of the student or their skills or how they cope up their capabilities. Now let's discuss and distinguish the performance from learning. So when you heard perform or performance, what comes into your mind? So maybe you comes into your mind that it is the execution of the skill and a specific time in a specific location, and also it is an observable behavior. So as you can see, like for example in dancing, you can observe that they perform because they execute the skills in a specific time or in a specific locations. So performance refers to observable execution of a skills at a given time and location. It is visible output of behavior. Now how about the learning? So the learning, it is not directly observable or must be inferred from observable behavior. So it is a change in a capability to perform a skills that must be inferred from the relatively permanent improvement in a performance as a result of a practice or experience. So learning, it is not observable, but it is observed by the evaluation or the assessment of a teacher given to the student. We can know that the student learned if they can execute the skills properly or they get a high score in the quiz. So now, learning, it is inferred from the changes in the performance. It is not directly observable, which makes it challenging to measure. So this chapter defines learning as a relatively permanent and change in the capability resulting from the practice of the experience. So let's proceed to the general performance and characteristic of a skills learning, or the 5 characteristic. First is the improvement. So improvement, it is a noticeable increase in the ability to perform a skills. So improvement, in example, it is used to see or to observe to the student if they have improvement, if their ability will have, as you observe, they have an increasable, or they have an increase of the skills. Next is consistency. So consistency, it is a less variability in the performance over time, so whether the student is consistent. Next is stability. So it is a performance is less affected by internal and external perturbations. So the next is persistence. So persistence is the skills are retained over time and demonstrating long-term learning. And lastly, the adaptability. This it is the ability to transfer skills to different contexts or conditions. So these are the 5 characteristics in order to us to acquire the skills of learning. So there have improvement, consistency, stability, persistence, and lastly is the adaptability. Now let's proceed to the methods of assessing learning. So the first one is assessing learning by observing practice performance. From the word observing, it is you can assess by observing the skills of the or the ability of the student. So you can use record levels of performing during a time when the skill is being practiced. By may use performance curves. So we can use curves to identify the capabilities or the skills of the student. So they provide evidence of the learning, whether it is improvement or it will be consistency. So now let me introduce to you the performance curves. There have 4 types of performance curves. The first curve is called linear. So linear is a proportional increase over trials of time. Next is negatively accelerated. So it is an early improvement but slows during lower later practice. Next is positively accelerated. So it is a slight improvement early but substantial improvement during or later the practice. Then the last one is the ogive or is shape. So it is a combination of the previous curves, whether it is a linear, the negative accelerated, or the positive accelerated. So these curves are used to observe the performance of the student. The next one is the performance score by kinematic measure. So what will be the kinematic measure? So kinematic curves give information regarding the movement or the patterns or it is assessed over time within a trial. So let's proceed to the assessing learning by retention tests. So these kinds of the methods of in learning where assisting learning to the student, it is a test of a practice skills that a learners perform following interval of time after the practice has ceased. On the other hand, it is a assisting learning by transfer test. So, assisting learning by transfer test, it is the assist the adaptability of what was learned during the practice. So, performing the practice skill in a performance context or situations different from practice. It is also the availability of augmented feedback or the physical environment, personal characteristic. So performing a skills that is different from the skills they practice like cricket from to the baseball. So the next one is assisting learning from the coordinations of dynamics. So it is the allows observations of the stabilities and transitions of the dynamics of movement coordinations related to the performing the skills, or it is the identifies how it is similar of the difference to the previous skills, or it is a person doesn't learn something new, just involves on a previous skills like a circle or a square methods. Now let's proceed to the two reasons why for practice performance might misrepresent learning. So the first one is the performance variables. So what is performance variables? It is a factors like augmented feedback or specific practice conditions that can artificially inflate or depress performance, leading to the misinterpretations of learning. So the learning of the student will be misinterpreted, or the student in a wrong idea, or they get a wrong informations. Then the next one is the practice plateaus. So plateaus, it is a temporarily stagnations in performance. So might not reflect or a lack, or it is a lack of learning. So but it could be indicate in a transitional phase in skills acquisitions. So the practice of involvement performance in plateaus, it is a fatigue or the motivation or the external conditions. So these two reasons why the practice performance may misrepresent the learning. So we need to careful as a future mentor or as a future teacher in especially in the physical educations. Okay, I think you truly understand our topic in this morning. So let's have another activity. So this class, the class will be divided into 4 groups. So each group will perform the methods of assisting learning in a role play, broadcasting, advertising, and singing. So the group will be performed in the various activities according to their designated methods, or the teacher will give 5 minutes in each group to prepare the activities. So for group 1, you perform role play about assessing learning by observing practice performance. For group 2, make a broadcast about assessing learning and retentions and transfer tests. Group 3, you make an advertisement about assessing learning from coordinations dynamics. And for group 4, you make a song about misrepresentations of learning from practice performance. So you will be graded through the rubrics The criteria must be the content, the creativity, and the cooperations. So, as you can see in the screen, that's all. You can get excellent and adequate or the needs improvements. So you will be graded through these rubrics. Okay, please observe the rubrics carefully so you might have a guide to how to make your performance be graded or performance be great. Job well done, class. So now, in a short activity, let's have a short recap of what we have discussed. This activity is called reward or a punishment. So the instruction will be the teacher will select volunteers to come in front and pick numbers of in the magic box. So if the student picks a reward, the student is lucky. But if the student picks the punishment, the student should answer the questions that they could get or they could have. Okay, are you excited for this activity? Okay, very good. Now, let's start. Okay, the first questions will be what distinguishes performance from learning in the context of skills acquisitions? Okay, very good. Next, what are the 5 general performance characteristics that indicate learning has occurred? Okay, you have a brilliant idea. How about how are performance curves used to assist learning during the practice? Okay, very good. What are the common trends seen in the performance curves and what do they indicate about learning? Okay. And lastly, why might practice performance misrepresent actual learning and what Okay, very good. You did a good job in this morning. So for the assignment, in a 1/4 illustration board, make a slogan that shows the methods of assessing learning that you can relate the most. So you need to pass it tomorrow for that is your assignment. So okay, thank you class and goodbye and see you as I see you around. So thank you for your participations for this discussion may be fruitful and be grateful to us.